All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our advanced wellness workshop for this month. Tonight, we're going to be talking about superhuman immunity and how you can maximize your immune function with a few, easy incorporations into your daily routines. So to get started, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that you're fully healthy because you don't have symptoms? Just because you're not expressing symptoms, do you think that you're 100% healthy? Well, according to the World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In other words, it's not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. What does that mean? Health is not just feeling good. How many of you know somebody that you saw that one day that appeared to be fully healthy, and only to hear that they passed away from a massive heart attack the following day or a week or two later? Well, it's a really unfortunate example, but it's an all too common one in today's society. Now, you can't tell me that that person was 100% healthy if they were able to pass away from a heart attack a few days later. So in other words, health is having a body capable of performing all of its many functions normally. Now, true health is measured based on function, not feeling. Just because you feel good doesn't mean you're 100% healthy. Rather, we want a body that functions at 100%. One of the main organ systems responsible for your overall health and how you survive throughout your daily lives is your immune system. And the primary role of our immune system is to fight and protect against infectious organisms, thus not allowing them to inhabit our bodies. These immune system structures consist of proteins, organs, and cells, such as your white blood cells, that work together to help neutralize and defend your body. Or neutralize an antigen and then defend your body from it. Now, there are two primary types of immunity within the body that we're going to talk about. Number one is adaptive, and number two is innate. So we'll start with adaptive first. This is pretty much what it sounds like. Your body adapts to its surroundings and creates certain structures within it to help defend the body from any invading pathogens. So whether that's changed body cells or pathogens, your adaptive immunity will produce defense cells in the blood, such as your B lymphocytes. You've probably heard the term antibody before. That's when your body becomes exposed to a substance and then can create a compound to neutralize and effectively destroy that substance. And lastly, another adaptive form of immunity would be the defense cells, such as the T lymphocytes. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have your innate immunity. You've probably heard us use the term innate intelligence in this office quite a bit. That's exactly what that is. Your body has an innate intelligence that is able to defend it from invading pathogens and microbes. So these are such certain bacterial killing substances that you're born with that are on your mucous membrane. Protection on the outside. So your first layer of immunity from the outside world is your skin. It's the largest organ in the body, and it's the number one line of defense against any invading microbes. Your inner protection right here would be your mucous membranes. So the inside of your body is lined with a mucus-like substance that's designed to help catch debris and microbes and effectively neutralize and kill them. The first attack in the tissues, these are your scavenger cells. They help neutralize invading microbes at the tissue level. Like the system in the body, the immune system is prone to problems, such as cancer or autoimmune disorders, which happen when the immune system attacks itself because it sees it as dangerous. Another example would be an immunodeficiency disorder such as AIDS. In other words, the immune system can't produce enough antibodies to neutralize a problem, and then that problem gets blown out of proportion, and that's where the problem arises, or that's where that problem magnifies. And lastly, an allergic disorder, which is simply your immune system overreacting to an otherwise harmless antigen. This diagram does a great picture of showing all the different types of antigens your body is constantly faced with. Now, whether that's bacterial in nature, for a parasite, environmental pollution or other form of pollution, toxins, fungi, which are other types of bacteria, and viruses. So your body is constantly having to deal with all these different things on a daily basis. And that's okay, because if your body's functioning at 100% and you have a properly functioning immune system, your body doesn't need any outside interference, and it's able to handle all of these stressors on its own. Today's medical model is heavily rooted in the germ theory of disease. And what that basically states is that separate diseases exist, and they're all caused by microorganisms. If you neutralize the specific microorganism, you will effectively neutralize and eliminate that disease. Well, that might not be the case, because Louis Pasteur, who developed the germ theory of disease in the 1800s, a lot of his contemporaries came up with other conclusions and found that it was the host organism rather than the microbe that was allowing these diseases to flourish. These microbes were searching out compromised hosts or weakened individuals, and there they were allowed to flourish. This quote by D.D. Palmer does a great job of explaining that phenomenon. He said, "I desired to know why one person was ailing and his associate eating at the same table, working in the same shop, at the same bench was not. Why? What difference was there in these two persons that caused one to have various diseases while his partner escaped?" You might see that all the time. Let's apply this to your daily life. You got a family of 5 and only two of the 5 kids come down with the flu. That's not because those kids, the flu only attacked them. The flu was in that house. But the other 3 children, their immune systems were able to effectively neutralize the flu, and it wasn't even an issue for them. That's what he's getting at here. Is it's your body and how you take care of your body that determines the effectiveness of your immune system, rather than you get attacked by a certain flu bug or attacked by a certain microbe. Let's talk about symptoms a little bit. We've been programmed in our life to think that symptoms are bad. Think about when you get food poisoning. You eat something, the bad shellfish example. A couple hours later, maybe a couple minutes later, you experience significant cramping in the stomach. It might start coming out of one or both ends. This is your body's natural response to food poisoning. It's doing everything it can innately to get that antigen or that bad food, that microbe that was in the food, out of your system. How about the common cold or the flu? You get the flu, you might feel achy, joints start to hurt, your nose is really congested, you have difficulty breathing. Now you're not going to go run a mile after that, are you? No, you're not, because this is your body telling you we need to slow down and allow the proper time to recover. And then lastly, fever. We've always been programmed that fevers are bad, we've got to lower the fever. I've got a slide that's going to go into detail on that in just a little bit. So in other words, by taking medication for stomach pain or to neutralize food poisoning or to make your headache go away, we're really saying that we're smarter than our innate healer, when we really aren't. Let's look at this quote by B.J. Palmer. He was the developer of chiropractic. These products, he's referring to the medications that we put in ourselves to neutralize our body's innate symptoms. These products are so ill-adapted to our organism that a certain number of individuals become intolerant of some and resist others. So now he's talking about, have you ever heard antibiotic-resistant bacteria? That's what he's referring to there. Doctors cannot succeed in understanding why these medicines become ineffective and even provoke a serious advancement of the disease. It is because modern medicine finds its therapeutic means more and more in the retorts of chemists that it cares so little about physiological and endocrinological phenomena. So what he's saying is that our medicine is based so heavily in chemistry and remodeling the body's chemistry, trying to fix each of these individual symptoms, that we're totally neglecting our innate healer. When in all reality, if we take care of our body and give it everything it needs to function at 100% and at an optimal level, your body can neutralize all of these problems. How does chiropractic relate to immune function? Well, it's as simple as this diagram. A spinal adjustment will decrease nervous system interference and increase immune function. That is because your nervous system, which is composed of the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves, control every single function in your body, including immune function. It's estimated that your immune response is almost 50% a result of your nervous system. So, the immune system gets all the credit when really the nervous system is doing just as much. So we'll repeat this once more. Spinal adjustment decreases nervous system interference, boosting immune function. Kind of elaborating on that last diagram, Christopher Kent says this: contemporary research is beginning to shed light on the neurobiological mechanisms which may explain the outstanding clinical results chiropractors have experienced when managing patients with viral or infectious diseases. A comprehensive review of the research literature reveals that current understanding of the brain and the immune system are the two major adaptive systems in the body. During an immune response, the brain and the immune system talk to each other, and this process is essential for maintaining homeostasis, or balance in the body. Now, when your body is in a state of homeostasis, you're healthy, you're functioning at 100%, all is well. But if those two systems are unable to talk to one another, so if the brain is unable to communicate effectively to the different immune system organs, that's where some of these problems could arise, and that's where your body could all of a sudden be not as healthy and not functioning as properly as it would be otherwise. Let's talk about the 1917 flu epidemic for an example, just to show some of the results that chiropractic care saw with the flu. Now, during the 1917 and 1918 epidemic, it was estimated that 500,000 Americans passed away. That's a pretty staggering number for today's standards, and especially when you go back 100 years. Of the 93,590 patients that were treated by medical doctors in Davenport, Iowa, 6,116 subsequently passed away from the flu. Now, the reason they're using Davenport, Iowa for this study is that's because that is where Palmer College of Chiropractic is located, and I believe this was a Palmer study that they conducted. So 6,116 patients out of 93,590 passed away. Of the 1,635 cases of flu-stricken patients adjusted at Palmer School of Chiropractic during that same time span, only one passed away. Now, furthermore, they extrapolated the study to other counties within Iowa. Now, outside of Davenport in the state of Iowa, chiropractors cared for 4,735 cases of the flu with only 6 deaths. Now, let's take this down to Oklahoma. Out of 3,490 flu patients under chiropractic care, only 7 died. Now, there's pretty staggering difference between these numbers right here and this one right there. These are much better ratios on the bottom. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I'm not saying that these chiropractors were treating the flu. Chiropractic does not treat anything, but rather we remove the interference to the nervous system and allow your body to function at 100% like it was designed to do. And I promise you, that's all that these chiropractors right here were doing. They weren't treating the flu. They weren't trying to manage flu symptoms. They were doing what they were trained to do, and that is remove interference to the nervous system, allowing the brain to communicate to those immune system organs, and then the immune system was able to effectively fight off that flu virus. The facts about fevers. It's actually thought that for all children above the age of 3 months, a fever is a good thing. Now, what does that mean? It's a sign that their immune system is functioning properly. Now, a fever is your body's second line of defense after macrophages, which physically engulf invading bacteria. The fever is your body's response to multiple different infections. So there's a couple different grades here. Now, a low-grade fever would be from 100.4 to 102.2. Now, this is your run-of-the-mill common cold. And this is your body. You see, your body is intelligent enough that it recognizes, I can kill off this invading microbe just by raising the body temperature. So your brain stimulates the thalamus to release pyrogens. Pyrogens are a compound within the body that increase core body temperature, and thus that's how you get this body temperature of 104 to 102.2. A moderate grade fever would be 102.2 to 104 degrees. Now, this might be a little bit more uncomfortable for the child, but it's not going to cause any issues. The child will be uncomfortable, but their body is doing exactly what it needs to do to fight off whatever it seems to be a threat. A high grade fever is anywhere from 104 degrees to 107.6. And while this is significant, or this signifies a larger scale bacterial infection or maybe a viral infection, and while it will not cause any damage to the child, it's advised to seek medical attention for a fever of 104 degrees. Lastly, hyperpyrexia is anything over 107.8, and this is considered a medical emergency as it can result in brain damage. Now, it's important to note that we've been told that 98.6 degrees is normal body temperature. Now, I don't know what your normal body temperature is, but I've measured mine, and I know mine's 98.7. So does that mean that I have a fever or that I'm not normal? No. Some people, their resting body temperature is a little bit higher, while for others it might be a little bit lower. So in other words, if your kid's got a moderate to low-grade fever, don't rush out and give them Tylenol or whatever it is you would give them to lower the fever, because you're doing their body a disservice. Now we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about allergies. So what are allergies? They're a condition in which the immune system reacts abnormally to a foreign substance. So a lot of allergens are really harmless. They're not going to cause any problems, but due to a defect or an imbalance in your immune system or your homeostatic mechanisms, your body perceives this as a threat, so it, in a sense, overreacts. The first budding plants you see in spring are often a sign that warmer weather is on their way, but due to a lot of people suffer from seasonal allergies, and this is a sign that the misery is just beginning, because all the pollen being produced and released in the air, their body is going to perceive as a threat and overreact to. So what are some statistics about allergies? Freshly cut grass, blossoming trees, flowers, and weeds release pollen that causes seasonal allergies in an estimated 60 to 40 million people annually. That's a pretty significant portion of the population. Research has shown that nearly 75% of all people in the U.S. suffer from allergies. That's 75% of all Americans that currently suffer from allergies are allergic to ragweed. So that's this plant right here. Another term for it in the Midwest is goldenrod. You see it everywhere when you're out hiking or even driving along. And approximately 80% of people with asthma will also suffer from seasonal allergies. Funny story or little side note about this, I'm currently taking care of a young girl. I believe she's a third grader. And she's got terrible allergies. She's on multiple medications, a couple of different inhalers. And she's got seasonal allergies and really bad asthma. And she has this chronic cough that she's been doing for the last couple of years, her mom told me about. And I've actually seen this in the office. After one adjustment, that chronic cough that she has gone away. Not because I treated her chronic cough, but because her mid-thoracic spine was so locked up, there was zero movement there. And mind you, this little girl is only in third grade. So we removed the interference to her nervous system and allowed her brain to communicate with the rest of her body, and she's no longer got that chronic cough. It's pretty remarkable. We're still doing a lot of corrective work with her, but I'm confident we'll see some good results. Some of the symptoms of allergies include congestion, sneezing, a runny nose, itchy, watery eyes, exhaustion, mood swings, irritability. There's asthma, there's that again, hives, eczema, ear infections, etc. The list is on and on, but remember, these are your body's response to help you manage that allergic reaction. What are some causes of the allergy symptoms? Well, the primary cause of allergies is that your body is unable to adapt to its environment. So your body might be in a harmless environment, but it's perceiving some pollen or some antigen in the air as a threat, and it's unable to handle and adapt to that threat. According to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, allergies are immune system disorders where your body overreacts to harmless substances, producing antibodies to attack said substance. Histamine is a common compound that's released during an allergic reaction, and it's released by cells in response to injury and allergic or inflammatory reactions, resulting in smooth muscle contractions and capillary dilations. So if someone's having an allergic reaction, you might see their skin get bright red, they might feel flushed, their nose starts running. That's exactly what's happening here. That's due to histamine. Another cause of allergy symptoms is unmanaged stress. So it's really important to keep your stress in check if you have allergies. Now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about allergy management. Now, according to the CDC, the actual cause of allergies cannot be corrected, but the allergic reaction can be prevented. So one of the conventional means is to avoid the allergen. You could go on a myriad of medications or have allergy shots, but unfortunately a lot of these have some pretty nasty side effects, and you actually feel worse after the fact than you might beforehand. One of the big ones here that I really like is continued allergy education. So learning more about your allergies, how you can minimize exposure to your allergies, and be better prepared when you do have a reaction. On the other side, there's natural allergy management. One of the big things is avoidance of certain foods. Now you might be thinking, well, how does what I eat relate to my allergic response? Well, that's because a lot of our problems in today's society are due to inflammation in the gut. That may not seem like a big deal, but roughly 1/3 of your nervous system, which is the regulator of your immune system, is located within the digestive tract. It's called the enteric nervous system. And if you have a lot of these inflammatory foods, such as peanuts, artificial sweeteners, refined carbohydrates, alcohol is one, or a big one, and dairy products, these can, and a lot of people that struggle with inflammation or gut imbalances, their gut will become inflamed. That'll affect their enteric nervous system, and their immune response can be impaired by that as a result. So in other words, avoid this list of foods right here. On the other end of that, you can enjoy certain foods. So there's a lot of foods that we can incorporate into our diet that will promote good gut health and help improve our reduce allergic reactions and inflammation. So bone broth is a good one. It helps reduce inflammation in the body and boost the immune system. When you drink bone broth, you're basically drinking bone marrow of an animal that's been turned into a broth or a soup, and you're getting all the good nutrients out of that bone marrow. Fresh organic vegetables. It's loaded with vitamins essential to immune support. Organic vegetables are one of the best sources of a lot of the vitamins that you need to support immune function. Clean proteins, they'll contain the proper ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. If that ratio is off, that can lead to a lot of inflammation, so it's really important that these grass-fed organic meat products are in your diet because you'll get that proper ratio. Wild-caught fish and salmon, they're another good source as well. And raw local honey is a great source of both nutrients and it helps you build adaptive immunity. Now, it's important that when you eat honey that it's raw and it's local to the area that you live in, because the bees that are making this honey, they're using a lot of the plants in your area or in your region of your county or your state that you're having your allergic reaction to. And some people actually believe that 1 tablespoon of raw organic honey per day can act as an allergy shot. So it's like a natural alternative to those regular allergy shots you get to manage your allergy symptoms by the doctor. Now, as I said earlier, it's important that the honey is local to your region. Now, if I live in Wisconsin and I'm importing raw local organic honey from Montana, I might get some of the health benefits, but if I'm doing it strictly as a preventative approach to boost my immune response to the different pollens in the area, that's not going to help me because I'm ingesting pollen from another state. It's a great source of antioxidants. It'll help prevent cell damage from free radicals. Free radicals are the compounds that actually shorten your DNA on the cellular level and are believed to be responsible for aging. And lastly, it naturally contains hydrogen peroxide, which acts as an antiseptic, helping fight fungal and bacterial infections. In addition, you can incorporate some vitamins or supplements into your diet. Spirulina is a lot of times it's in powder form, and in preliminary test tube studies have shown that it'll help block the release of histamine, which is that compound commonly released in abundance during an allergic reaction. Probiotics are great to help modify your gut flora to boost an immune response because, as we said earlier, that'll help restore your gut flora and decrease the inflammation in your gut, which will allow your enteric nervous system to function better. Vitamin A will boost the immune system, fight inflammation, and also has antihistamine properties. And lastly, zinc will help fight adrenal fatigue due to chronic stress. So that'll help keep your stress response in check, minimize your stress, and then you'll get the immune benefits on kind of a tertiary level there. Some complementary natural remedies where you actually are putting some products into your body that aren't naturally found in nature. Essential oils are a great one for the aromatherapy aspect. So peppermint, eucalyptus, and lavender. If you inhale these essential oils periodically throughout the day, that can actually help loosen up your nasal passages and get things flowing more properly. And lastly, and this isn't fun to do, but it does a really good job of opening up the nasal passages, is a sinus rinse or a neti pot, where you actually squirt water up through one side of your nose, cleans out your frontal sinuses, and comes out the other side. It's a great way if your nose is not running at all, or you just feel totally blocked up, like you have a cement block behind your head. This is a great way to free that up. Lastly, now these are probably, a lot of people don't want to make lifestyle changes because it involves work, but this is probably where you're going to get the most lasting effects. So one of them is stay hydrated. You always heard drink 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. I like to follow the adage that you drink half your body weight in ounces. So if I weigh 220 pounds, I need 110 ounces of water a day. So I do my best to get as much water as I can. Limit exposure on high pollen count days. This is basically just, if the pollen count's insanely high and you walk outside and you have a white car and you look at it and it's yellow and you have bad allergies, just stay inside. You'll thank yourself for it later. Shower before bedtime if you've been outside so that you don't track the pollen that you encounter outside into your bedroom while you're sleeping. Wash clothes and bedding regularly. Bathe your pets regularly. So if your pet spends a lot of time outdoors and then comes inside and your dog wants to snuggle with you on the couch, now that dog's bringing all that pollen and those allergens in, and giving your pets regular baths is a great way to ensure that you're not coming in contact with that. And lastly, we kind of talked about this, keep doors and windows closed on high pollen count days. This will be a great way to minimize your exposure to these allergens. Final recommendation is chiropractic care. Now, we already talked about how the nervous system regulates your body's immune response by innervating all the different immune organs. And the strength of your immune system depends on the communication between your brain and the various organs that are responsible for your immune response. Now, if there's a misalignment in the spine, or what we call a vertebral subluxation, this will inhibit your brain's ability to carry out all of the necessary immune functions required to keep you healthy, limiting your ability to adapt. So this diagram right here shows all the different organs that are heavily involved in the immune response. So you've got your tonsils and adenoids, various lymph cells that produce, and lymphatic vessels that produce different immune cells. Your thymus, that's another important immune organ. You've got the axillary lymph nodes. The spleen is another big one. The appendix, Peyer's patches, and then the bone marrow. So all these organs are in constant communication with your nervous system to help to help elicit a proper immune response when called upon. And it's unfortunate that in today's society, a lot of people are now getting their tonsils and appendix out as a precautionary measure. I know I had my tonsils and my adenoids removed as a kid because I was getting strep throat on a daily, almost a weekly basis. And I wonder, had I been getting adjusted at a younger age, would my homeostasis been a little bit better? And I wouldn't have needed those out. I'll never know because I don't have them. So all these different organs are responsible for the immune response. And if there's a subluxation in the spine that's choking off the information flow from the brain to that organ, you can see on this diagram right here that bone is shifted out of alignment and it's interfering with that nerve. Now if this nerve goes to someone's spleen and their spleen is no longer getting the proper nerve flow from the brain, and that spleen can then no longer elicit a proper immune response. So my job as the chiropractor, and why everybody should be getting adjusted on a regular basis, is because we can restore the proper nerve flow to that organ, boosting the immune response. I hope you guys learned a little bit today about ways to naturally enhance your immunity. Go give us a follow on our Facebook page or our Instagram. Come find us. It's Lakeland Chiropractic, and our YouTube channel is Dirk Dulmes. So give us a follow, and we've got a lot of cool content coming. Thank you.